What's going on, everyone? We are joined here today with On a Spot Live. I don't know why, for some reason, I want to put on the spot. I just, I just want to put the D in your channel name. I don't know what it is, but I always think it's a D in there. But greetings. How was your day?
My day was great. How was yours?
My day was pretty busy. I was trying to get everything set up, and then I was working around my house. So I did a lot of work.
Lots of
Time
work.
just started flying.
Very
Yeah,
productive day then. That's good.
yeah, yeah. So if you notice something different, okay. First of all, the wall's different, okay. And I finally got my little my little picture up, whatever world map picture. So I'm getting a little bougie, and then I got my famous tea here. That
Okay, you're the bougie genius now.
oh yeah. That's a good title. I might have to make a new channel that what I'm saying, the bougie genius. But that's probably, I don't know. I think more women are comfortable explaining. I think like with men tend to, I don't know, like they got different names for it, but I mean, nonetheless, you know what I'm saying? Class is definitely something that I talk a lot about. But today we're going to be talking about real estate. You are a real estate professional. Um, First of all, just go ahead and introduce yourself. What you do as far as real estate and everything. Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Go ahead and tell people who you are, what your expertise in real estate, and we'll start from there.
Sure. So, hey, everybody. I'm very glad to be over here on the Broke Geniuses channel. I want to start with that. I am. I am a content creator, but, my professional life is being a realtor here in the city of Chicago. I absolutely love real estate. And here on YouTube, though, I love sharing information about how people can purchase their first ever property. I think it's very important for members of our community to own, hence the name Own a Spot. And so I, use the YouTube platform to give out free information and things to help people do just that. So that's who I am.
Okay. So how long you been in real estate? In what areas are do you cover as far as selling real estate? Uh,
I am going into my fifth year of real estate. I began in 2018, and my team helps buyers and sellers all over the city of Chicago and in the suburbs.
okay.
I love the sound effects. I love it here.
Okay. What's going on, Alonzo?
Hey,
Uh,
Alonzo.
and
That's
Dev D.
Alonzo.
Actually, this guy here, I know this guy. You know,
Hi,
we
Defty.
he's an electrician, so he's
Cool.
actually a licensed electrician. So
Nice.
he talks a lot about that. He knows the whole process of how to become a electrician in the Illinois area. So yeah, I know him personally. He knows all my dirt. He
Ah, give us some
no,
tea. Give us some tea, Defty.
no, don't say that. You don't break the bro code, man. Do I have to bring up this? Is something else? It's like a slide, or is
I
that
brought it up just in case, but no. I don't
okay?
I don't really like the look of the slides, to be perfectly honest.
Mhm.
They're older slides.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, you say I know no dirt. Okay, he's being modest. Um.
He's
But
staying on code.
yeah, like pretty much. He helped me with my house, like the lights in this room. I mean, basically, I talked a lot about the story about a contractor kind of just cutting ties with him, and he was he started my electrical service as far as like the rough end, putting the electrical box in, outside work, but then he all kind of stuff started happening. I mean, it was just crazy. Like he's a licensed electrician too in the Indiana area, but
Oh, wonderful. That
he,
means he's in a union. Shout
yeah,
out to all the tradesmen.
yeah, like I mean, he was cool at first, and then just the dark side just started coming out. I mean, he did some time in prison,
Oh, no.
high level stuff. Like he actually did federal time because he was involved in some heavy stuff. But then he got out and became an electrician. But he was going through all kind of stuff. He's baby mama issues. Even one time he called me because I was waiting to get him to finish my electrical service. He said his electric service got cut off. And I was like, I never heard of an electrician getting his electricity shut off. But I mean, life is, you get all kind of stories, and it's just crazy. But yeah, he helped me, kind of as far as like an emergency to kind of pick up where he left off. So yeah, that's one of my friends, as far as through a friend. I met him through a college buddy that I had for like over 20 years, and he pretty much he knew him. So, anyways, now we're gonna be talking about basically Section 8, and this conversation kind of stormed up from like a couple weeks ago. I was on one of your live streams, and I
Mhm.
think briefly you were talking somewhat about Section 8, or maybe I asked the question, or somebody from the chat asked the question about Section 8, and it kind of steered there, and you were surprised actually about Section 8.
Oh, yeah. I was talking about how I didn't know what Section 8 was until I moved to Chicago and I
Okay,
was denied
wait,
an
wait, wait,
apartment.
pause. All right, so where are you from originally? Yeah, where are you from? Like, as far as
Originally, I'm from Los Angeles.
okay,
And then I went to college in Houston. So I moved to Chicago after graduation.
okay,
So my experience, my pre-Chicago experience was I lived in LA and I lived in Houston, Texas.
okay,
But I had never heard of Section 8
okay,
until I was denied an apartment I was applying for. And I was like so upset. I made six figures. I was still working in corporate America at the time. And I'm like, how can you deny me?
right.
So I that's when I learned what Section 8 was because they explained that they kind of favor Section 8 tenants. And then I was like, well, what's a Section 8 tenant? And so then I kind of learned what the program was and what it was about.
Okay,
But later, as a realtor, I actually learned that Section 8, of course, housing choice vouchers, they are in place to really help people out to make renting affordable. But what I learned when I came into real estate and I learned the business, I learned that people can actually purchase under the same program and do a few other things too. So,
okay. We gonna that's a key note that you just mentioned. We're gonna get back into that. I'm gonna tell you kind of where it relates to me with Section 8. Um,
please do.
so I don't know. I might be. You probably a millennial, right? Or
A lady never tells.
okay. All right. Well, I'm a little bit older, I would say, than you are. I don't know how much, but the thing is that I've never gotten Section 8. I've never applied for Section 8. Um, Section 8 is a big deal in Illinois.
It is.
It is a huge, to even say it's a big deal, I'm be honest, is more of a huge deal because, well, I'll tell you, I've been here my whole life for the most part. Well, the exception of the last 4 years, because
Hmm.
I've pretty much moved to Indiana. But as far as Illinois, it's like having a voucher, primarily what I know, and I know a lot of people that have had vouchers and also people that apply for them. In Illinois,
There are even
basically,
people on a waiting list. People get on a wait list to get it
yeah,
too.
yeah. So that's a big thing. Like a lot of people apply, and both men and women apply for Section 8. Primarily, notably, um, most people that receive Section 8 vouchers is women with children, primarily. Now, is also what's interesting about Section 8 as well is that what people don't probably know, and we could also talk, we can add that to the discussion about basically property ownership in regarding to Section 8. But basically, you can also be married and also get Section 8. That's the thing that a lot of people don't realize as well. The whole mindset of most people is that you can't be married and get Section 8 is for single women with children, and that's not necessarily true. Um, so I have had family members of mine that had Section 8 vouchers, and also my mother, and both my mother and her brother have received Section 8
Oh wow.
actually payments for properties they had. So
Mhm.
I myself have never received any Section 8 payments or anything, but it's a big deal in real estate across the country. Illinois is a major deal because it's a long list as far as I know, as far as getting a voucher. I want to say it takes anywhere between four to, like, I've heard people have like gotten a phone call after 8 years. Actually, my ex-wife, that's what happened to her. She got a phone call or got some type of notice after her child was, like, she filed when her child first child was 2 years old. Then she got a some type of notice that she was accepted for a voucher, or the process to start like 7 years later. So
Yeah.
um,
And the
it,
term you're using, voucher, is the correct term. Some people know it and have called it Section 8. I think
mhm.
now housing voucher or housing choice voucher is kind of what it's called now.
Oh, okay. So it's called, okay. It's a different language on it. So
Yeah, a
yeah,
little bit.
that's what I primarily know. You also have another thing, and it's kind of different than that, but you have what is called, I believe, low income housing or something like that. Is that
Mhm.
related, or is that like, because I know of people that they're either like disabled or either low income, they qualify for low income housing, and it's also a waiting list for that. So that's not probably, I'm sure that's not related to the vouchers, but city of Chicago and like other municipalities, they have like low income housing. Another thing, this is like very subjective for a lot of people because they don't want low income housing. Like, it's been notable, um, like celebrities or whatever that have spoke out against low income housing. Dave Chappelle and I think uh, one of the Curry, I forgot his Steph Curry. Yeah, Steph Curry.
Oh, yeah, I did
Yeah,
a video on that one.
yeah. I think that's probably where I found out that
Mhm.
information. So yeah, a lot of people are not proponents of low income housing for obvious reasons. But that's also a lot of times how people get some type of housing. I will say, here's the deal: for men, that's typically how they get some type of lower cost housing. They'll apply for low income housing. Now, the good and the bad with this is some people absolutely play poor. to get these vouchers. That's another hustle that I know about very well. People play poor
Well,
to
I have
get.
some stats if
Yeah,
you want to kind of start
yeah,
with that.
yeah, sure.
Okay, so currently in the country, 2.01 million people live in Section 8 housing or have housing choice vouchers. Kind of to the point you said, most of the households are female headed, but not all. So I think the percentage right now is 74% of public assistance households are female headed. The average income for those households is about $16,000 a year. So $16,000 annually.
Okay.
And the average family monthly rent expenditure among Section 8 households is about $341. So, of course, with the housing choice voucher, the way that it works is the tenant or occupant pays a portion of the rent, and then the rest comes from HUD,
Okay.
essentially, or whatever housing authority is there. So that's government funds going directly to the landlord or housing provider for a portion of the rent, and then the occupant or tenant pays the smaller amount.
Okay. Yeah. So that's so I have a couple videos if you want to get right into those.
Yeah, let's do
It's a
it.
couple people that just kind of explaining first of all Section 8 and also another video with someone that invests in Section 8 properties.
That's the other part I can't wait to get to.
Okay.
There are two sides to Section 8 or housing choice vouchers,
Okay.
and I'm trying to get people on this side of it.
All right. All right. That's a little kitty right there. All right. Let me share this here. So first, let's play this here. All right.
The extremely poor. The U.S. government classifies the poverty line or the extremely poor right at 32.
Let me refresh this here. Hold on. This thing, my internet seems. One thing I'll say is fast.
Section 8 is for the extremely poor. The U.S. government classifies the poverty line or the extremely poor right at $32,150 per year if you're an individual. So if you're at this level of poor, you can go to your local housing authority and apply for what's called a housing voucher. They might make you wait 2, 3, 4 years because the demand for free housing in the U.S. is so high. Once they issue you your housing voucher.
So let me point out something key right there. So here's the thing. Having a voucher is a really big deal in Illinois, and also let me move my chair over. Um, it's so big of a deal. A lot of people apply for them, and it's because the waiting list is so long. This is what happens. This is what people probably don't understand about Milwaukee and also even Minnesota and even Gary, Indiana. You could even put Gary in there. So certain cities, they don't have that big of a backlog. They will open up like some type of like voucher incentive to where they'll advertise almost we have open vouchers to like for example a lot of people that's how they got to Milwaukee or one of the reasons they moved to Milwaukee. Some of the people that live in Minneapolis a long time ago, like in the 90s, they were provided a fast track way to get a voucher instead of it being like 5 years or even like his stating in his case 4 years. It would be like maybe a year or less, and that would be an incentive for people just kind of pack up and move to Milwaukee, move to Minneapolis, and even Iowa. That the incentive for local governments to do that is obvious. They need more people, they need more workers. It's a way to kind of advertise to bring those people in. So we got a few comments here. Let's see here. Lonzo says, It depends on the state. Some are called Section 8 city fees, and a few more, but that's NYC.
Yep, definitely will change kind of regionally, kind of what these programs are called for sure.
And then another thing is, okay, Chicago is huge as far as in New York as well with public housing, okay, aka the projects. So that was an aspect where they basically combined low income housing, and also if you had a voucher, it'd be cases a lot of times where people would live in those project housing and they don't have any rent, or their rent payment would be like $50 a month.
Very low.
So they shut a lot of those buildings down because obviously it's like a lot of urban blight. It's like, kind of an eyesore to look at. People internationally is like, why are these people? It's a lot to that, but I'm not, I've talked about that in previous videos, in my archives. But basically in New York, they have the same thing. They have public housing, and then they have a lot of people that have vouchers, so that's kind of how you wonder, how do people survive in New York? Well, some of them have vouchers. Chicago, even, you can, I'm sure know about the rising cost of housing within the Chicago area. I remember rent was $700 in like the suburbs. In the city, you could get a 1-bedroom apartment for $500, and this is like 2012.
You mean to rent?
Yeah, to rent. Yeah,
right. It's an important thing for people to understand that rents will continue to rise. Like, prices are going up, right? Mm-hmm. So there will be a time, maybe 5-10 years from now, and you'll say, I remember when we were paying whatever the rent is now, Mm-hmm. And mm-hmm. So I think it's important, as a part of, I don't like to say educating, I like to say like giving people good information, that, that rents will continue, to rise.
Right. So let's see what else he says here. To be honest, any single person who makes less than 150K is below the power line per se in order to invest you.
Okay. Yeah, especially if they're in New York. For sure. Other places they might be able to do better, but absolutely being able to invest a third of your income is definitely the goal for sure. Yeah.
I mean, the true middle class it's a lot of arguments with that. You can have a round table discussion about that. I mean, I've heard as high as like you need to almost be a millionaire to at least $500,000. Like, and then some people, say as low as like 50,000. Some I've heard is even lower middle class is considered 30,000. I mean, it's all relative, like you said, to where you live, the cost of living. Because I remember being in San Diego when I was in the Navy, and I saw rich and poor, like it was like extreme, like the extreme level of the haves versus the have-nots is like you can literally see it and feel it differently than other places. And I could tell that it was like very expensive there, and people were just kind of like on one side of the coin. But we're gonna finish this here. He's explaining the qualifications of getting a Section 8 voucher. Okay, let's finish this.
Sure, it's gonna tell you 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom. You need to now go out in the marketplace and look for a property that has the same bedrooms that you're approved for on your housing voucher. You give your voucher to the landlord. They're going to take it to the local housing authority. From there, an inspection will be requested. Once that landlord passes a Section 8 inspection, now you can move in, sign a lease, and then the landlord will start getting that guaranteed monthly income from the federal government. And you, as a tenant, might pay anywhere from $15, $20, $50 per month as your rent portion. Guys, I'm doing a free webinar this Wednesday, 8 p.m.
All right. So that's that's pretty much kind of standard. Do you disagree with any of what he said? I mean, obviously he's not in Chicago. That's just a general Section 8 and the voucher process is a federal program. But it's also a local and state program too. So can you explain kind of that, like to kind of break that down?
Sure. So HUD is the federal Housing and Urban Development. That is the federal agency that provides the finances, but they provide the finances to the local housing authorities. So, and then the local housing authorities kind of manage the programming in that area. But he is correct. You're approved for a certain um, home or apartment size, like you said, 2 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms, what have you. And then you go out, which is why it's called a housing choice voucher, because you can go out and find um, I'm sorry, I'm used to saying properties. You can go out and find apartments or homes that match that are on the open market, for rent, and then you present them with with your voucher. They get paid directly from the housing authority, and then you pay your portion as a tenant.
Okay. So let me go back to what you said about, the story about you not qualifying for
I
apartment.
qualified. I was rejected.
You was rejected for apartment because see, here's the
Denied.
thing. It's different types of real estate investors. Um, Definitely investing is more concentrated. Like you're considered hands down, you're a real estate investor, no question. If you have apartments and or houses available for rent, that's property management, but that's part of real estate investing, where people will probably notably think that you're a real estate investor if you have properties that you rent out. Now, you got different types of people with Section 8. You have people like, for example, let me tell you a story about my first property. And I was talking to this lady that had like a roofing company, and she had a team of roofers that basically did roofing. And at the time, I had a property that badly fire damaged. I needed a roof to even do anything, to start anything. I needed a roof. So she told me about, this was about 2010, 2011. She said that she deal with investors that are out of state. They don't do anything but um, try to get properties and collect on properties that have tenants that have the vouchers, Section 8 vouchers. That's all they do. They literally, she said, she would find a property and she would give the green light for the investor to, purchase this property. He would basically fly in to conduct the transaction, look through the property, and get a synopsis of what repairs is needed for the property, and then literally fly back and then give money to her to basically GC the project and fly back in however long it takes, 5 6 months later, once it's completed, and then they get a tenant in there to rent out. And he would have, whatever, 5 10 properties that he was collecting Section 8. So those are the people that they don't want anybody paying cash. They don't want your cash. They don't even want to touch any cash or any checks or any cashier check. They want Section 8 vouchers holders. That's all they want. That's their whole investment system process. They don't want anything but that. Then you have the investor that it's a mix. Typically, if you're in property management, it's a mix of, you accept people that have vouchers. Then you also have people that collect, pay cash. Then the third is you got people that do not want Section 8 vouchers
Exactly. There are
because
many.
yeah. So you got people that because they've been burned by Section 8 renters or whatever the case, they don't want anything to do with any Section 8 vouchers holders or anything. And they just basically want the traditional cash payer. And those are like the kind of the what's involved in that. And I don't know if it's against the law. Maybe you can expound upon um, I mean, can you turn away people because they don't have a Section 8 vouchers? That I mean, I didn't get that in real estate when I was taking real estate classes.
Yes. So there are definitely discriminatory practices that are illegal for housing providers. To speak specifically to Chicago and Illinois, of course, the protected classes are, race, ethnicity. A new one is their income source. Um, the exception is if it is a property that the owner inhabits him or herself, right? So if it's a 4 unit building and I live in unit one and I rent the other three out, then I have the kind of, I can make that determination based on what I think is appropriate for my own property. But yes, and I always tell people, okay, if you're looking to purchase property, become an investor. The definition of an investor, like you said, like you stated, is someone who owns property and rents property, right? So if you're looking to become a real estate investor, you must know the law in your locality. You must know lease terms, all of that stuff. And if you have a good realtor, they can put you onto all of that stuff.
Okay, great. So another thing that I have to note again about Section 8 is that the reason why I say it's like it's huge in Illinois. You having that voucher is like almost the equivalent of having a lottery ticket to an extent.
No, it's
Because
not.
you don't think
Now
so?
let's fight. Now I want to fight.
Okay, you want to fight? Okay, why do you think it's not a lottery ticket?
It's not a lottery ticket because people, and this is what I really want to get out there. This is what I really want to get out there. And what really activated me was I talked about when I was denied due to Section 8.
Mhm.
I want to say it was like my second year in the business. I was still kind of a new agent, and I had a talk with a lovely woman. I was like, where was I? I want to say I was in a bank, and she was very lovely. And she was telling me how she received Section 8 and she's never coming off of it ever, ever, ever. It's not a lottery ticket because it suppresses any effort to build your net worth. And I think people can see, and I can understand, right? Rent is too freaking high, right? You have this government agency, this housing authority paying your rent. You made it off the list and you were picked, and somebody's paying your rent. That sounds great. But is it great? Is it the best thing for us? It is not for that reason.
I mean, it's the reason why I say a lottery ticket is because that's the mindset of certain
Yes.
people.
And I think
That's
it's their
how.
mindset because they don't know,
Yeah,
right? They
yeah.
don't know,
That
which isn't
that's
their fault.
yeah. That's the mindset of a lot of people because some people just I've seen a lot of people have very low expectations in life, and um, sometimes people they need to get out of that or need to be motivated. Some people can, some people can't. But um, a lot of what I see in Illinois, which is kind of tripped out, is that with that voucher, it's almost like you can live any. It's not like okay, you would think probably somebody from the outside looking in, as far as they, if they didn't know anything about a Section 8 voucher or whatever, they would be like, this is something that you probably use in an area where, because obviously this is, you have to have a minimal amount of income to qualify, meaning it has to be very close to the poverty line or poverty rate, such as he said in the video, $32,000. You would think somebody from the outside looking in would say this is only can be used in the same neighborhoods of the people that basically make that type of income, a lower socioeconomic neighborhood. But this is not the case. This is the tripped out thing about the voucher of what I saw. You can use that voucher, and it's, I'll just go all the way up there. You can use that voucher, and I know this is Illinois. I don't know other places, but in Illinois, you can use that voucher in an upper class community to a lower class community. It's like uh,
And it's for any property
mhm,
within that specified region that is on the market for rent, and the housing provider is open to receiving that as a form of payment. So
right.
no, yeah, so you can, and which again, which is why it's called housing choice. But I disagree with you. I don't think that it's always about mindset. I think it's about people having information that they can act on and understanding things rightly.
Well, if you have information, that's something you process in your mind.
Hmm.
So a lot of times, like so a lady I used to listen to, she was her name is Dr. Jewel Pooker. She said a lot of times what she would do is she would make sure she had a library or access to a library so she could get information as fast as possible if she was stuck on something. So she wouldn't just be, stuck as far as her thought process on something. So she can get the information right away and move on. But anyhow, the thing is that surprised me. That was like a surprising moment when I realized, like, you got cities like, for example, Highland Park, that's like a upper class community. They have certain municipalities that have like certain laws where they can accept so many vouchers, and you can absolutely, if you have a voucher, you can live in those neighborhoods where I just was surprised. I always thought in order to live in a rich neighborhood, you had to like be able to pay the rent. Like I didn't know if you just had a voucher, you can actually live in those same neighborhoods. So
Right. But to what
that's
end?
yeah,
But to what end? So, it's kind of like how they say medicine and poison is kind of about the amount or something like that. I'm
yeah,
probably saying it wrong.
yeah,
But housing vouchers definitely help people out, and they should. And I don't think we should do away with them at all. I think they help people out. I think they're a tremendous tool to assist people, as they're climbing, as they're working, as they're, kind of building themselves, right? But as a long term thing, it actually hurts because what do you have to do? You have to keep your income below that threshold. So you're continuing to earn less, right? And then you aren't, allowed, you can't have a housing choice voucher and purchase your first ever, investment property to, build for yourself and try to build, wealth generationally or otherwise, right? So
uh,
it's keeping people, I want to say it's keeping people at that level, right? But to maintain a voucher, right, the recipient would have to continue at that income or lower, and also not build or obtain assets, which is not, which makes that person and their family financially vulnerable.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
want people to be financially
I,
strong.
I actually I actually have a video kind of going into what you was talking about. I
Cool.
mean, I'm I will definitely play that sometime in this video. But the thing is that yeah, that's what I talk a lot about. Not often, but I've talked about that on my channel. I mean, I've had this channel for like 7 years, off and on. Not 7 years consistently. I would say probably 2 years. I was not on this, not using this channel, but um, I talked about how basically that's what absolutely what they do as far as welfare. They um, keep you non-competitive. That's a way for you not to compete, and they absolutely have the. I've been in the military. I've seen fields and fields of aircraft carrier. In each one of those, you know, I mean, like not aircraft carriers, aircraft. Each one of the jets that I saw was worth at least anywhere between $30 million to $50 million. They
Wow.
absolutely have the money to pay you for Section 8, for food stamps, for whatever. And you have to meet a certain requirement to get those benefits. And that requirement is you be basically financially um, lower income. That's how you
Right.
get those things. And don't get me wrong, there's some people that absolutely manipulate the system. They primarily deal with cash. They have a whole bunch of cash and they save it and then they don't use bank accounts. It's a lot of hustles with that. But it is people that don't absolutely even do that. They just are literally kind of tricked to be non-competitive, and they consistently just in order to keep those benefits they put themselves out the financial, they just don't compete financially, that is a consequence for that, and they will pay that handsomely for the like rest of your life in order for you to not compete. Trust me, I talked a lot about that. So
Yeah, I
um,
mean, well, I mean, whether or not that's, the intention, I'm not, making any accusation regarding that, but the effect of it is, kind of what I want to address because
mhm,
that's what I'm here for. That's what a lot of us are here for on the platform to
yeah,
empower people, to give them information that's really going to help them build and grow for themselves and their families for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah. So let's see. We got some comments here. Lonzo said 1/3 of your income or $50,000 a year, whichever is higher. Otherwise, you can't deal with the upside down of investments. I
Absolutely
definitely
right.
agree with that. What's going on, Seeking My Creator?
Hi, Seeking My Creator.
Um, I done seen some people in nice apartments with Section 8. Yeah, it's people with many mansions that has Section 8 vouchers. I, yeah, I've seen it. The thing is that you do have to pay a portion of your rent. Not everybody gets fully funded. It's prorated towards your income, right? Like as far as, well, I don't know. Do you know a lot about extensively about Section 8 or the housing
Oh,
voucher?
no, the clients that my team works with are very highly qualified buyers and sellers of property. My YouTube audience is who I'm targeting is a different set of people, which is why I kind of talk about these topics. I do have investor clients that own Section 8 or partially Section 8 properties. So I can speak to that, but I do know in terms of qualifying and how much a recipient is awarded is definitely based on their income. It's a calculation. I think they take the federal minimum wage and they do a calculation with how many hours, and that kind of thing. And then they determine how much they'll provide with voucher funds and how much the tenant would have to pay.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty much kind of what I know about it. It's prorated towards your income. So some people make more than others, and depending on how much you make, you might have a more sizable rent payment to pay with the voucher. So it's like the voucher would be like a discount. So if the rent is like, let's say $2,200, the voucher pays $1,200. You still have to pay $1,000 a month towards rent. But what people do is with the voucher is they'll go get like a prime piece of real estate somewhere, in like a kind of a nice community that's kind of somewhat expensive, and they will pay that portion. And you also keep in mind that that's just Section 8. If you're a woman with children, you most likely probably get some type of child support as well. And then also if you work, you get earned income tax credit or whatever. So it's a lot of incentives that this country pays for women with children, because it just that's just how it is. That's one of the reasons people kind of want to come over here, because they do have a lot of social safety nets that are not in other parts of the world. Alonzo says, I know some people who are married and on Section 8, but she won't work and won't let him get mail at the house so she doesn't lose the benefits.
This is so funny. And thank you for that, Alonzo. What a lot of people may not realize is that someone in this situation, this couple, right? They could they could hashtag own a spot, right? They could purchase a property and live in that property and not pay rent. You know how?
No,
They
don't.
could also have tenants in the property. But the difference with that is, so your tenant is paying your mortgage, right? So somebody is still paying for you to live there, right? But in that scenario, your overall net worth is continuing to increase. You hold a real asset which can be leveraged and used to obtain other assets, as opposed to her, sneaking and having the mail somewhere else
Okay.
and all of this. So
Okay.
this is all about, like, solution. It's about, taking the information and showing people how they can help themselves beyond what they feel they're actually getting, because I
Okay.
think it could feel like a much larger benefit than it actually is.
So are you talking about this is what I do also know about Section 8, is that some states, and just correct me if I'm wrong if
Sure.
that's what you're talking about. Some states, they offer people that have Section 8 an opportunity to buy the house instead of just getting a Section 8 vouchers. I've even heard some states, I don't know what state, they'll just give you a house, and then just your full lifetime, they'll give you a full house, and because you qualify for the voucher or whatever, and that's your house. And they're like, you know what, here's the keys, knock yourself out. They'll probably have some program where you have to teach you how to maintain a house, because see, here's the thing with the house, or any property you own, you don't call anybody else to if something happens. Your furnace went out, your water heater went out, your electrical went out, whatever is the problem, you're responsible for that. And maintaining a home, it is a lot to deal with. It's a lot of moving parts with that, and you're responsible for that if you're, pretty much a homeowner. But is that what you're talking about in that case, where you get some type of like, is like a program for voucher holders to own a property? Is that what you're talking about?
There are several scenarios. Let's go with scenario one. Boom. No program, or let's say They are lower income, which means they could qualify for down payment assistance. How about you use that down payment assistance, purchase a 3 unit building, right? Live in one, rent out the other 2 units, right? Your tenants pay you rent, right, which covers your mortgage and taxes. So you're living free. And like I said, you have a real asset and your net worth is increasing. That's scenario one. Let's go with scenario two, right? Yes, as you said, I did a 12-minute video on my page. It's in the Ownaspot section about how yes, um, housing choice vouchers, recipients of that program, if they're on that program, they can use it to purchase property. And a lot of people don't know that. So you can use it to purchase property, and what beyond the money just covering your mortgage monthly, you can also use those funds for other things. You can use it for your utility bills. You can use it to make repairs. You can even use it to purchase new appliances. That's scenario two. I got these for days. I can keep picking them out.
Yeah.
And this scenario
Type
three.
something in the chat, so I can give you some moderation, uh, uh, so you could put your channel name as well as your.
Sure. Scenario three is to become a Section 8 housing provider. How about instead of getting those funds on your behalf, you own a property and you put Section 8 tenants in it, and now you get the guaranteed funds every single month from the government or housing authority? How much equity can you build like that with that kind of quote unquote guaranteed income from the government? So those are 3 scenarios I just came up with on the fly about how someone can turn that situation around, own a spot, and really improve their situation.
Okay.
Alonzo. Thank you very much. Like the video.
Yeah, like the video, share it, subscribe. Also, when you can, type something in the chat, give you a wrench, and you put your channel information there, as well as put that link of that video you did on the different options for Section 8, so people can get the information. So I don't want to, I mean, it's up to you. You know, I could play the video on like kind of people that received Section 8 vouchers and like the horror stories involved with that. That's fine. If it's up to you, I can play it.
I don't need horror stories. I'm a very happy girl. I don't know if you know this, Broke Genius.
Yeah. I can tell. That's why I'm being happy. I'm being really PC. I'm like, in the office, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not being, the dark black pill broke genius or whatever. I'm being on my good behavior.
You're doing great. I'm having so much fun with you.
But okay, that's aside. Basically, I did a video. I'll just give you the synopsis.
Okay.
It's a chick that you probably seen her.
A woman?
A woman on social media that basically she's pretty famous. She talks about relationships and stuff like that. And she was talking about how when she was getting a voucher and getting food stamps and stuff, that basically Uncle Sam was involved in her parentage, and she had some situations where she was doing well and someone dimed her out and told the state that she was basically making money and getting her subsidies, and she basically had a hard time after that. And she basically, long story short, she talked about how a lot of times people use that as a crutch, and they replace their children's father with basically Uncle Sam. And it was, pretty much a couple months ago, maybe like 5 or 6 months ago I did that video. But yeah, it's kind of, yeah, it's not a as you say, positive dialogue. But we do have a positive dialogue to discuss another video, and this is a couple that they invest in primarily properties, or they at least have a property or two that they rent out to Section 8,
Hmm.
and
I
they're
have a
going.
lot of friends
You
with
say,
Section 8 properties
oh, you got a lot of friends, okay,
who
in
own
Chicago.
properties, and um one has, like, I want to say 8 doors in the Detroit area. 8 doors means 8 domiciles. So um I mentioned I have clients here. I have no, she doesn't. She used to take Section 8. She doesn't anymore. Because if another kind of component to this is, like the guy said in the video, in order to be a Section 8 landlord, the program does send an inspector out, and they will tell you things you have to change or modify about the home or repair, etc. And so she just didn't want to deal with it because she spends a lot of time away. So now she has regular tenants, but whatever. So yeah, I know investors who rent to Section 8 tenants.
Okay. So for some reason, it's not showing your your um your actual um comment on the channel.
Oh,
Yeah,
let me say hello.
yeah, I see
I
that
can
you.
see it.
Oh, you typed it in the actual chat in my
Oh,
chat.
you want me to put in the private chat?
Oh, okay. Let's see here. So I'm gonna add you as a moderator. Okay. All right. So you could, put your links there. Yeah. So yeah, it's actually something that I might consider for my property
Yay!
to, to basically rent it out, but I'm still trying to kind of deal with other things because I gotta get something else. I gotta get another property in order to rent out this one. So that's something maybe in the future. And yeah, it's a big thing. It's actually a way where, because see, the government does have a lot of funding. Okay, you talked about the scenarios. Why not just buy a property, believe in yourself, invest in yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody is going to invest in yourself if you don't believe in yourself. Like, I'm not gonna say they wouldn't, but I mean, if you don't want to invest in yourself, what makes you think other people will? So if you put your money into a property, if you have the credit score, you have the even if you need a little work, you probably, I'm sure, as a realtor, have people that do credit repair or deal with, like, maybe trying to come up with some type of way to improve your credit so you can qualify. Um,
I give credit tips on the channel for free. Everything I offer is free information on YouTube. And so I do talk about how to improve your credit. I talk about what the real requirements are. People often think that their credit is not good enough. You can purchase with as low as a 650. And so, don't let credit stop you. I also let people know that credit is not the number one thing when
you
it
gotta have
comes
a
to
650, or you mean 550?
650.
650. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I
Uh,
I was told it was 620 a long time ago, but
Yeah, around 650, you're pretty okay across the board.
yeah.
Um, I also tell people, stop obsessing over your credit. Okay. It's not the most important thing. It really isn't the deal breaker when it comes to whether or not you'll be approved or not. What is the deal breaker? What's the most important thing is your DTI. So I talk about DTI the most
What is
because
DTI for everybody else?
DTI, sure. So DTI is your debt to income ratio. It's basically your monthly expenses divided by your monthly income. So all of your fixed bills, fixed meaning they're the same amount every month. So like your rent, your car payment, your insurance, your student loan repayment, total all of your fixed expenses, divide that by your monthly income. Your It'll give you a percentage, right? It'll be point whatever, whatever. You want that to be 33% or less. So you want to get a 0.33 result or less. If it's 0.45, 0.57 or higher, right? We need to do a little bit of work. And no credit score will help you if your DTI is too high. So that's the most important factor. That is the most important qualifier that's going to make or break you getting approved.
Okay, okay. Now, I got a couple questions before I get into this video that I want to ask you.
Ready.
So, what if you are comfortable doing? You don't have to, of course. I want to hear your best real estate story and your worst real estate story. You can start with either one if it's up to you.
Um, my best real estate story, the market was bananas. And we had this one house. It wasn't a huge house. It was in, Chicago. So it was in West Town, or what we used to call Ukrainian Village,
Okay.
which is absolutely booming. Um, it's booming. People really want to live there. So we had this little house. We were representing the seller. So the home is for sale. We're, representing the seller, showing the home to potential buyers to hopefully get an offer in, negotiate a great price, and get it sold for our seller. We host an open house. I've never seen so many people in one place. It was crazy. We had like the average open house, you get about 5 to maybe 8 guests, right? We had 30 families come in 2 hours.
What year was this?
This was my colleague has left our brokerage, so it has to be, it was either right before, it had to be before COVID. So it was maybe it was 2019.
Okay.
30 families came through. We got a ton of offers the same day, right? Our sellers are ecstatic. We're ecstatic, right? We're like, oh yes, fantastic. Our sellers selected a buyer, accepted their offer. We go into, let me skip all that because that's kind of technical. After our sellers selected one of the buyer's offers, we get this random phone call, right? Somebody wants to bid $100,000 over our standing offers.
Wow.
That does not, now you've heard the crazy stories about what happened during COVID in Florida and all this. This is before all that, right? So it doesn't happen a lot in the business where you cancel a buyer's contract and they haven't done anything wrong. You know what I'm saying? So we were kind of like, in a dilemma. So we had to cancel this buyer's contract. Because we were operating in the best interest of our sellers. They wanted to accept the newer, higher offer. We had to invest, because at first we didn't know if it was real. We're like, because it's not even worth that much, right? Mm-hmm. But apparently the wife told her husband, you better give me that house or you can't come back here. Mm-hmm. And we had to cancel that. So the buyer's agent for the buyer whose contract we canceled, unfortunately, every time they see me, they have some feelings about that. And I really like them. But I don't have any enemies in the business. That's not smart, to make or create enemies. But that is one agent, when I see them, it's like, oh man.
Yeah. So I know a lot of neighborhoods in Chicago. I don't know all of them.
Oh, I can tell you where it is.
So no, I'll put it up on the screen here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Ukrainian.
So this is like the northwest side.
It's not even. It's just north of the West Loop.
Okay.
Which its proximity to the West Loop is very attractive. Also, Kasama is there. Kasama is like a very trendy brunch spot,
Hmm.
and the chef has a Michelin star. And so if you drive by there on Saturdays or Sundays, you'll see a line. No matter what the temperature is, there will be a line at Kasama.
So like, let me tell you something about Chicago, right? So we consider west everything of that Dan Ryan Expressway going through. It's weird. Like the east part is just eastern, the part of the 94 Dan Ryan Expressway. So like they consider everything over here, even though it's north, like because it's on the other part, the western part of the expressway, that's considered the northwest side, which is the hottest. Like everything north, even northwest, um, like you said, you it's your best story because I'm not surprised at all because I already know about the north side, the northwest side. Um,
Well, the house was cute. It was an adorable house. Like it was a like picturesque, right? But it wasn't big. It wasn't super huge. It
mhm,
just had these very specific features that are hard to find in the city, like a
mhm,
3-car garage. Most properties have a 2-car garage.
okay.
And so people just they fought over that property. I've never
Yeah,
seen anything like it since. So that yeah, that's my story.
yeah. So another thing to add to context, great story. So this is like okay, just to because people are not from here, they don't know. Like okay, so the loop
They need
is
to come visit. It's the
yeah,
best
they
city
should.
ever.
They should for sure. And the thing is that this is like within a stone's throw away from the loop, the Ukrainian village. It's like this little square right between West Town and the West Loop. It's literally, I want to even say within walking distance because I'm a walker. I can walk 10 miles with it and don't even not concerned whatsoever. Like, I mean, you're literally a stone's throw away from the downtown area. You're
Yes.
within miles of the CTA, any type of like you want to go to the airport to go to O'Hare. You're not too far away from Midway. This is like the central hub, like this is like one of the best places to actually be. Actually, as far as the map, if you just look at the map, you're in the center of everything as far as what the best of Chicago has to offer. So um, I'm not surprised at all. So yeah, so you don't have to say your worst story. It's up to you. I mean, if you, I mean,
I'm with
so
Alonzo. I'll use that as my best and worst.
okay, 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 cool. That's what's up. All right, so we got a couple more comments. Let's see here. Um, Section 8 don't have to worry about ghetto ass tenants. What at least they'll get their yeah, cause see, here's another thing that we both didn't mention about Section 8. It's an incentive depending on who's involved, but usually people with vouchers because they want to keep them in until they upgrade their life or whatever. They possibly know they want to possibly use this in another house or whatever. Their Section 8 and the voucher process is that you can't mess up somebody's property. Uh,
That's true.
if
That's
you
true.
if you mess up someone's property, you can as a landlord, you can file some type of report to the voucher agency to report the tenant as they damage your property and show evidence, of course, and all of that.
Mhm.
And people can absolutely lose their voucher uh,
Absolutely.
by messing up people's properties. Now,
Absolutely true.
the frequency of people doing that, do I know someone that has done that? A lot of times I haven't heard of anybody, but a lot of times that's a very big deal, because a lot of times people, they don't want to leave someone homeless, because a lot of times these are people that absolutely need that voucher at the moment. And some people are kind of, they're kind of warm-hearted. They know if they report this person possibly will lose their voucher. Now, some people, you got to understand, some people that might be their first property, they don't have any other property, and some tenant messed their property up. They might not have those same type of sentiments. I mean, it just depends on the person. But yeah, it is some type of recourse you have if a voucher holder messes up your property. He said, sounds like a best and worst combination story. Okay. Yeah. A story because canceling accepted offer contract has to be a nightmare. Yeah. So Alonzo, in case you didn't know, he was also a real estate agent in the East Coast. I want to say either New York or where he's from, Connecticut, where he lives. He grew up in Connecticut. So yeah, let's play this video here of this Section 8. Wait, first let me give my stories. Like,
Yeah, give your story.
my best real estate story is right now.
Nice.
My property that I bought was basically, it was good and bad. It was both. It actually qualifies the same thing. This property had nothing in it. It had no furnace. It had no water heater, no electrical type of infrastructure whatsoever, no electric box. It had some wires, but it literally needed almost everything. And I got it for I found it off Craigslist. So it was a real estate investor that was from Illinois. He lived in the northern suburbs of Illinois. Older white guy. He had like a whole bunch of properties. At the time, I was looking for some real estate. Didn't really have that much money. I had a little amount of money, but this was before 2020. Definitely, this was about 20. Well, actually, no, it was during 2020, like the pandemic, and it was before the bubble, though, because the bubble happened tail end 2020, 2021. So before bubble, I had, I'll just say less than $10,000, but close to it. And I was going in with a friend of mine, actually Def D's friend as well, where I met him through. I was like, we were both talking about property. He was already living with his now deceased father. He already, pretty much was there. So I needed a place to live. Going through a divorce. I, was living with my sister at the time. I needed some property and I needed it fast. I knew I didn't want to rent. I knew rent was probably not going to be a long-term option for me. I already bought a property. I had a couple properties under my belt. I knew how to work on houses. So I was comfortable buying a fixer-upper. I was actually looking for a fixer-upper because that was all I knew I could afford. So at the time, you could buy houses in the Chicagoland area, certain parts, and as well as Northwest Indiana, it was quite a few houses for less than $10,000. They were in undesirable neighborhoods. To add, it was some that was actually in decent parts of decent neighborhoods. And definitely, the more you had, the more you can have to work with. Because Def D, he bought a property from a lady that kind of aged out of the home, it was a doozy. All he had to do was some light renovation. He paid a little under 50 grand for his property, and it's in a nice part of a neighboring city to South Holland, and he basically got it for dirt cheap because that house, I'm sure, if he would have bought it during the bubble, it would probably be close to 100 grand with the same condition. So he was inspired by us actually. I still remember
Nice.
that. He was seeing his homies, you know, trying to get some real estate. He was inspired. He pulled the trigger.
It's
He's an electrician,
contagious.
so
It catches on.
he got bags. He's pretty much a seasoned journeyman electrician. So he had the money, he saved up for it, and he pulled the trigger. Um, Now, with what I had to deal with was I had to pay a contract. It was a $10,000 contract. Put down 3 grand. Gave the uh, property owner about $300 a month. 2 years. Just use that to kind of fix the property up, get it to be habitable, and then go through the process. Uh, it was hell to pay the captain. A lot. I mean, I basically I bought a house that was over 100 years old. It was built in 1918. Uh,
Most homes in Chicago are
this was
100
in
years
Gary,
old.
Indiana. This was
Yep.
in Gary, Indiana. So the house in Chicago, I bought that in the neighborhood. It was West Pullman. So that was like on the far south side.
Hmm.
And that was a lot to deal with too. That's actually is my worst real estate story. It ain't no good that came from that.
Okay, let's stay on the happy one. Let's stay on the
Yeah,
happy one.
yeah. So I learned a lot from that experience, okay, that I took with me. And the thing is now I have the house where I'm getting ready to get towards the fine, nice stuff. It's like, getting ready to I'm looking towards interior design, what I'm gonna put. I'm buying flooring at this point, getting done with drywall. So the house is getting I'm at the yeah,
Awesome.
I'm at the point where the house is just getting the fine touches and making it look pretty, and putting clothes on it and all that makeup. So
Some
it's
red
this is the
lipstick.
yeah, this is the good part about real estate. That's the fun part where
Yes, the end is
yeah,
fun.
you getting it, get ready to paint it, put down
Yeah.
flooring and fixtures. So I went through lot of hell to get to this point. I documented what I had to go through then, and um, what you talked about with the actual like living in one unit of a 3-unit building and renting out the others. That's called house hacking. Okay, that's a way you can house hack. What I did will probably be more extreme house hacking. I
Yeah.
mean, um, I didn't even join. I never been in the army or the Marines or anything. I was in the Navy, so I'm not supposed to be able to camp in houses and stuff like that. But that's what I had to do. But I that wasn't my first time actually doing it. But the thing is I got it now where I'm starting to get everything you know beautified and renovated and stuff like that. So I got a corner property. I have a block of property, small block. My neighbors, I'd have to cross the street or cross the alley to go to my neighbors. I have no neighbors. I have a corner lot that I could build a property on. I most likely won't do it because maybe it's so many houses in Gary. Actually, it's 2 abandoned properties across the street from me that I'm hoping someone can purchase and renovate, or the city can demolish them because they're just sitting there. Gary has some of the most available property in the entire United States. A lot of people don't know that. They think probably Detroit. No, Gary, Indiana has the most vacant homes in the entire United States. It has a lot of negative connotations, but it's really overblown. You got people that have fully renovated properties. They live like a suburban type life where they don't, it's riffraff, it's gunshots and stuff like that, but it's really it's improving slightly, and then also everybody doesn't bother everybody. It's fortunately, the riffraff they have a code of they deal with other riffraff. They don't they if you don't bother anybody, nobody will bother you. That's typically how it works most places, and that's how it is. But all of that aside, very very much positive story as far as it improved my life. No mortgage, team, no mortgage.
Team No Mortgage.
Team no mortgage.
Congratulations. I love this.
Yeah.
Yeah. The bougie genius. The bougie genius.
Okay. We go. I'm gonna think about that one. But so let's get into this video, and then I'm gonna ask you some questions regarding investment strategies and purchase strategies. So
Awesome. Let's go.
we're gonna get right into it. This is a random couple. I saw them on TikTok. They are real estate investors, and they're basically, the cool thing about them, I'll just say, is that, and I totally get down with this. Like, he has his wife, they're both helping each other renovate the property. The thing with me is, I do know how to do quite a bit as far as renovation. As far as I'm a handyman. I know how to do quite a bit. If I had a helper, even if it was a woman, I could tell her, okay, this is what you do.
What do you mean, even if it was a woman?
Yeah, I'm saying, like,
If it was a woman.
I mean, women tend to not really be comfortable with power tools and all that type of stuff. But I mean, I can direct them to kind of show them the ropes if they need it. Okay, this is how you do this. Just basically a helper, right? Like, I definitely can see myself working with the woman. She hold a sheet of drywall in place so I can screw it in, vice versa. I mean, I totally see how this could work. That's all I'm
like a dream team. Yeah, like they work as a team.
Yeah, I could totally see how this is effective. So let's go get right into this.
26,000 on renovations. The house.
I had to wait. I should have opened it first. Let's go into this one. Let's see. All right, there we go.
Bought this house for $240,000, but we only put down $7,200 because we bought it as a primary residence, and it was a fixer-upper in need of repairs and updates. So me and my wife moved in it, and right away we got to work. We performed a strategic list of do-it-yourself projects, and after spending about $26,000 on renovations, the house was completely transformed, and the value had risen significantly. So we went back to the bank.
$28,000. Wait, I gotta basically play this back because see what they do, because in order to make a minute short or reel, you have to speed up the video a lot of times to shorten it up. So that's why the video plays so fast. But I have to replay these numbers because on my property, I'm looking at about 50,000 as far as from the time I purchased this house in 2020 to now. I'm looking at about 50,000. They only had to put 28,000 in it, but I think they probably
26,000. Did you use contractors though?
A combination of myself and contractors. Yeah.
I think they did. I think they DIY'd it.
Yeah, and it's like, here's the thing though, what I do know, like, it's like the same thing with Def D. He bought a house that didn't need that much work. See, it's like kind of like you could buy just because the house is cheap. Like this house is definitely cheap, right? As far as low cost. Well, just because it's low cost doesn't mean that your cost is going to be low.
Right.
My house was a total gut rehab, so those costs that's very expensive as far as repairs. If you get a house, and I talk a lot more about this in my real estate videos, you get a house, let's say in like condition, grade C condition or D, you don't have to put that much money into the property. Um, but those houses tend to cost a lot more than other houses. But I want to just play this back because I want to get the numbers again for what he both of his wife and them paid for this property.
So let me tell y'all exactly how we got this rental property for free. All right. So we bought this house for $240,000.
Okay, so boom, that right there. Wow. I don't know what market this is in, but 240,000 is quite substantial to put up as far as capital. But they already knew their numbers, so
That was the sale price. That's not how much they put up. They put up, I think, 7,000.
oh, they put up. Okay, let's see. Let's play this further here.
$30,000, but we only put down $7,200 because we bought it as a primary residence.
Okay, so they got a loan on it.
Yes.
Cause see, my brain thinks cash. I don't even. I've never had a mortgage. Yeah, so I'll be thinking, damn, I gotta put up $250,000. Wow. So okay, so they only had to pay a little over $7,000.
And it was a fixer-upper in need of repairs and updates. So me and my
But again, it goes so fast. But this is a good. Even if I did right, if I had the funding, I would do it. I absolutely would. And they absolutely knew what they were doing. Because again, if you buy, it's all about basically the ARV and your numbers, right?
Exactly.
So
ARV, exactly.
So they knew basically, and then another thing as far as rentals is concerned, another thing you want to consider with rentals is ROI, return on investment. So
or your cap rate.
Okay, yeah, your cap rate. So that is your mortgage rate, right?
No, your cap rate is how much in rent or in profit you generate per dollar invested.
Okay.
Cap rate.
Cap rate.
Some properties can cost you less. You have to invest less dollars, but the cap rate isn't so good. So based on cap rate, some investors actually go with a higher valued property in order to get to the cap rate that they want.
Okay. I kind of really don't understand what you're saying, but I'm not. I'll have to do some.
Yeah,
cap rate
is no. So sure. So cap rate is just it's a calculation that investors do to evaluate different choices that they have, to potentially buy, and it's an evaluator tool, just like ROI, just like return on investment.
Okay. So basically, let me try to see if I can work this out. So it's basically all of the expenditures for the property on a monthly basis, by also factoring in the income that you'll get from rent, right? Is that
no? It's the income you get from rent, assessed from value.
Oh, assessed from the value of
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So you calculate it by dividing the net operating income, right? So net operating income of the property. So you have to look at the rents that it's commanding, et cetera, to get to the net operating income. And then, with the value.
Okay. So one of the things that I'll say that I'm really excited about this property is that because I've seen some of the worst properties. Okay, one of the things about me is the first house I had was fire damage. It
Oh, wow.
was an absolute dumpster fire. All of the boomers was laughing at me at the McDonald's, and it was like, why did you buy this house? Like, I mean, it was only $1. That's why I bought it. It was the price of a McDouble. It wasn't.
McDouble, I love that.
Yeah, like literally, I mean, that's what was the price. But all of the underwriter fees and all of this other stuff, it was like I had to pay $1,000 in totality. But the house listed was only $1, like literally a buck. But it was like, okay, obviously they didn't want the property. That's why I was selling it for $1. And I actually bought a property for $1 in Chicago. So it was a fire damaged house. I learned a lot. I went through, a lot of learning process, as well as heartache and pain and tears. And one of the things that I got from that is it was like one of the worst properties you'll ever try to fix up. And I took that with me to the second property I had, and I fixed it up and I got it up to code.
Nice. Yes.
And then that's, basically my first house that I got up to code. It was a rent to own though. So I fixed up the property, got it up to code. It was like $35,000. And basically that was the payoff amount. That house sold for over $100,000 not too long ago, but they sold it after I left to somebody for $35,000. But the thing is that I don't discount where I made mistakes and where I learned from it, because I take those as educational lessons. Those are like life educational lessons that you can never get from a class. You just take it and you learn from it, and I take it to the next property. So like basically I have a proof of concept that I fixed houses up to put up to code. I've done it before. I never forget, I lived in Zion, Illinois. Part of the code was you had to get upgraded copper piping. It had to be copper. So I spent about $4,000 just on like over, I think it was like 20 feet of copper piping. I had to get it installed. It was not even in the basement. It was like a what do they call it?
Crawl space.
Crawl space. There you go. It was a crawl space, and this guy like basically had to crawl up under this crawl space, plumber, and sweat this copper pipe to get, to install it to the main water line. And I had to do that, by myself. Like I had to come up with four. It was a cool guy. Like he gave me a payment plan. He was from like Alabama. Him and his son, they had a plumbing company. They had like a crew of Mexican guys that did the work. And yeah, they let me give them $1,000 down. Then I gave them like another $1,000 to start. Then it took them a week or two to do it. They gave him another $1,000, and then he let me kind of pay him back $1,000 after it's already said and done. And I absolutely did that. And it was all while I was paying for all my other, I have two daughters, so I had to pay for.
I didn't know that. You're a girl's dad.
Yeah. So I had.
Do the clap.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Daughters.
Yeah. So I had to take care of a lot of everyday responsibilities and pay for renovations, and I had to pay the rent every month for this property. And I learned, of course, I know rent to what is your take on rent to own before I go in? I did a whole video on rent to own a couple years ago, but yeah, what's your take?
I did a video about it. I have too many thoughts to share on just the tail end of tonight's live, but maybe we can, do a follow-up or something.
Okay. Yeah, it's basically something that I learned from, it's just I did a video on rent to own, so you could all you got to do is search under my channel name, put in rent to own, and you'll find it. So I'm gonna finish playing this here of the numbers of this actual improvement.
Awesome.
My wife moved in it, and right away we got to work. We performed a strategic list of do-it-yourself projects, and after spending about $26,000 on renovations, the house was completely transformed and the value had risen significantly. So we went back to the bank to do a cash-out refinance, and the house was now appraised at $340,000.
Okay, so they made like a profit of $100,000 in equity of the property. Okay, so this is what is this the BRR method or something like that, or is it
the BRRRR method? I don't know yet, because the BRRRR method is when you refinance and then you purchase another property and do the same thing.
That's what they said they did. So
yeah,
$1,000 more than what we got it for. So the bank gave us a new loan at the new appraisal amount and paid off the old loan. And all of the leftover equity was returned to us, tax-free, which was about $36,000. So all of the money we put into buying and renovating this house, we got back. And today, this house is a Section 8 rental, which makes us over $1,400 a month. And the best part about it is, with the money we got back from the cash out refinance, we were able to go buy another fixer-upper who will do the exact same thing all over again.
That's what makes it the BRRRR method.
Okay, cool. So
nice, great video.
Yeah. So that was a very exciting couple. They worked as a team, kind of very similar. Like, I would take it you like HGTV. You look like a
realtors
HGTV.
hate HGTV. We cannot stand it. Any realtor you meet, that if you say HGTV, they just start like twitching.
Okay, what is the okay, I see your messages. Okay, so what's the skinny and the T on Section 8? I mean, not Section 8, HGTV, because I'm not really aware. And I saw the messages, and I'm just gonna ask you a question, and I'm gonna let you go.
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to take some quick questions.
Okay.
And if anybody in the chat has questions, I'm happy to answer those as well. But the deal with HGTV, it's just, especially for first-time home buyers, they don't know what the process is like. And so HGTV is kind of like, it creates like, it doesn't give any information. It's television, right? So it's kind of just, it's like a conceptual television version of just one small part of the home buying process. And so people who have been binge watching on HGTV, right? They come and, into the home buying process with all of these kind of preconceived notions. And as experts, even as their advocates, right? We have a fiduciary duty to our clients, to look out for their best interests. Sometimes it's hard for them to hear what we have to say because they already have these thoughts about, what things are going to go like, and it just doesn't mirror reality. It just does not.
Yeah.
So that's why most realtors hate HGTV.
Okay. Well, I can see that because they make it look easy, and it's not easy to renovate a home like that. It's my perception of it that as far as they leave out a lot of details.
So much.
So
And
go ahead.
No, they leave out a lot.
Yeah. So I was just gonna leave you with and then if you got some questions to ask her, she's willing to ask them. And I just wanted to ask you, as far as if people are considered investing in properties and they are investing in primarily for the reason to possibly get a property inspected by Section 8? Do you know what is involved with that? Like, another thing is, I've watched another video about this, was that some people don't take Section 8 because also, or the voucher, they don't accept vouchers because there's an inspection process that is more different than the actual inspection process of selling a property to someone, or it's more detailed. What do you have as far as information for people considering buying investment properties to be a landlord, and possibly renting out to voucher holders?
Yeah, I would tell them there definitely is an inspection process by, the housing authority. And so you should expect that. You should expect that it's going to happen. If you're considering that, my advice is to first find out what the laws are for housing providers in your area. Here in Chicago, we have what's called a landlord tenant ordinance. And so most municipalities have something similar. So find out what your responsibilities are as a housing provider, what your tenants are responsible, to do and not to do. Know that for sure. And then if you're interested in becoming a Section 8 housing provider, contact your local housing authority, which here would be CHA.
Okay, so we got a question from Alonzo.
And sorry, one other thing, and I'll get to Alonzo's question. When you find your local housing authority, there is a section for landlords, and it's like everything you need to know about being a landlord, everything the process entails, and that will take you through it.
Okay, he says, Alonzo says, why is it that specifically our people say they want knowledge on how to get ahead, yet there are 4 people watching this and 200 people watching? Shares are they talking about? Well,
again, all day. Wow, they talk about it all day.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sometimes I have to back.
Interesting.
Yeah, sometimes I really tried to do one of my goals for this year was to do kind of almost to be honest, a full stop on that conversation, because you can get wrapped up into that. Here's the thing, like there's a reason. I'll just say my reasons for that. Like there's a reason why there is only 1 percentile as far as I don't know the stats on women in general, but I'll just say all racial groups combined, it's only less than 10% of people that make just over $100,000 a year. That's just making over $100,000 a year. It's less than 10% of individuals. Now, once you get to like the million, making up $1 million+ a year, you're going into less than 1%. Like you're going into 0.001 and stuff like that. And that is, in my opinion, that stat is kind of congruent to what you're talking about as far as what people choose to spend their time and as far as their resources and knowledge on pertains to that basically stat. Not everybody actually wants to put the work in to become actually the person that